Next topic is the sampling. So sampling, it is nothing but the collection of sample for the analysis purpose, and after the analysis we can understand what is the quality of that water and wastewater. Okay, so sampling is nothing but the collection of wastewater that is generated from the industries. Okay, so as to study the characteristics of the wastewater, which is useful in designing the waste treatment plant. Value of any laboratory result is depend upon the sampling. Okay, so sampling, it is nothing but just collection of effluent sample or wastewater sample for the analysis purpose, and we collect the minimum volume of sample that can be easily, or the enough volume of sample that can be handled in the laboratory. Okay. So the sampling for a physical examination of wastewater as well as the chemical examination of wastewater. Okay, that means we are going to check the water for dew, oil, sulfide, phenol, BOD, and COD. So various points or various characteristics that are going to be determined by the analysis of sample. Okay, so sample should be taken in a clean bottle, in colorless glass bottle provided with the glass top. So this one thing is very important. So the sample should be collected in clean colorless glass bottle. So mostly we prefer the BOD bottle for the collection of sample. So the sampling is defined as nothing but the collection of wastewater sample we generated from industry so as to can study the characteristics of wastewater, and from that we can design a effluent treatment plant or wastewater treatment plant. So the object of sampling is to collect a portion of wastewater small enough in volume which conveniently handle in the laboratory and still a representative of waste to be examined. It must be collected in such a manner that nothing is added or lost in a portion collected, and no change should occur during the time between collection and laboratory examination. Okay. So that means we have to analyze the sample as early as possible within half an hour. Okay. So if the time required for the analysis purpose is too much, then it needs to preserve the sample in the preservation. That means we need to preserve the sample. Okay, so after that we can analyze that sample after some period of time. Okay, because why? Because due to the atmospheric condition that various characteristics going to be changed. Okay, so to avoid the effect on the sample, we need to check the sample as early as possible after the collection. Okay, so that's why it is very important to check or analyze the sample as early as possible after collection. So it is an important feature for examination of wastewater, hence proper care should be taken so as above conditions are met. Okay, so precautions takers. What precautions should take during the collection of sample? So the sample should be collected in clean bottle, in colorless glass bottle, which provided with a glass stopper. Okay. Certain determination like DO, oil, sulfide must be performed on the separate sample taken specially for the purpose in another bottle. The actual collection of sample is a matter of considerable importance, more especially as this is often done by laymen with little knowledge of such matters. So collection of sample. The location of the sampling point and collection of sample cannot be specified. In all cases, as conditions vary in different plant, and suitable sampling procedure must be adopted in such plant. Okay, so certain general principle can be listed here. So individual or combined waste sample should be taken where the waste is well mixed. That is, the sampling point should be selected where the water flow is turbulent. Large particles should be excluded. For this purpose, cleaning should be done before the sampling. Next, no deposits, growth or floating material that have accumulated at the sampling point should be included. The sample should be examined as soon as possible. If held for more than 1 hour, they should be cooled by keeping them in ice box in order to avoid bacterial decomposition. Okay, so as time goes on increasing, the bacterial activity, that is decomposition of organic matter, that start. Okay, so that's why we need to check the sample as early as possible after the collection. Okay, so the various sampling methods should be adopted for the sampling purpose. Okay, But before the sampling, we need to label the sample bottle, and that label should be include the various information. So that information, it is nothing but the source of the sample. Either it may be the sewage sample, either it may be industrial waste sample, or either it may be treated effluent or wastewater effluent. Next, that is what the source of the sample. Next, what is the date of sampling? Next, what is the time of sampling? Next, what is the temperature of sample? So these all information of sample should be collected or should be noted down, or either you can label on the sample bottle. Okay, so now what are the different methods of collection of samples? So normally two types of samples are collected depending on the time available. They are, the first one is a grab sample, it is also called as catch sample, and second is integrated sample or composite sample. Okay, so grab sample consists of a portion of wastewater all taken at one time. Okay, where the composite sample consists of portion of wastewater taken at regular time interval. Okay, and the volume of each proportion being proportional to the waste flow at the time of its collection. So the graph samples are not the representative of the average wastewater, since they reflect only the conditions at the time of sampling. Where the composite sampling, it indicates the character of the wastewater over a period of time. If the strength and flow of the wastewater do not fluctuate rapidly, the hourly samples for a period of 12 hours are satisfactory. In case where the fluctuations are rapid, 30 minutes or 15 minutes samples may be required. Generally, composite samples are collected to determine the characteristics of the wastewater and to establish the water pollution load for designing treatment plant. Okay, so these are the two types of the sampling. The one is a grab sampling and another is a composite sampling. So grab sampling consists of a portion of wastewater all taken at one time, and grab samples are not representative of the average characteristics or average wastewater characteristics, because they reflect only the conditions at the time of sampling. Since the time available in most cases is limited, so grab sample are used for analysis, which is not a good practice. Where the composite samples are the sometimes collected. So composite samples indicate the a composite sample consists of the portion of wastewater taken at a regular time interval and the volume of each proportion being proportional to the wastewater flow at the time of its collection. So this composite or integrated sample indicate the character of the wastewater over a period of time. That means the sample shall be collected, or the period of sample may be varied from 8 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, depending upon the use to be made of the result. And finally, this different sample should be mixed together, so we get the homogeneous mix. So generally the composite samples are collected to determine the characteristics of the wastewater and to establish the water pollution for designing the wastewater treatment plant. So these are the two types of sampling, that is grab sampling, or either you can say catch sampling, and the second one is composite sampling or integrated sampling. So these are the various sampling methods which are used in sampling which are used in the sampling process. Okay, so after the sampling of wastewater, what is the main objective of wastewater treatment plant? To remove all the matter from that sewage or either effluent or wastewater. That means to remove the organic matter, that is to reduce BOD and COD, to remove the suspended solid, to remove the toxic matter, to remove the nitrate and phosphate, to control the pH, again disinfection. Okay, so these all should be done at the treatment, and these are the various objective of the wastewater treatment. Okay, so as we know, the various constituents, or what are the different you can say the matter which present in our wastewater, that is nothing but organic matter in the form of fats, sugar, proteins and detergent. Suspended solid, that is the organic and inorganic. Dissolved solid in the form of chloride. Nutrients in the form of nitrate and phosphate. Acid, that is sulfuric acid, nitric acid and organic acid. Alkalis in the form of lime and sodium hydroxide. Then toxic matter, which is toxic to man and animals, plant and fish and microorganisms, like heavy metals, pesticides, ammonia, color, volatile matter. Okay, so these are all ingredients in sewage and wastewater and industrial wastewater. So the treatment plant, the main objective to remove all this and to minimize the adverse effect on the environment. So this is all about the sampling of wastewater and the objective of wastewater sampling to they collect the portion of the sample small enough in volume which can be handled in the laboratory and which can be represent the waste after examine.